Hey, if you got this part of the video, you got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks. It is what is today? It is July 5th, 2018. If you're catching this video any other time than 8 o'clock in the Central Time Zone, means you've caught the recorded version. That's okay. Hang tight. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. If you're listening live, I want to welcome you. Thanks for coming out tonight. Just me. And Mike has the night off. Taking a little time off for the week of the 4th here in the U.S. Big holiday. Landed in the middle of the week. It was like having 2 Mondays and 2 Fridays. The 4th of July, for at least in the U.S., is one of those holidays, one of the few holidays. I guess Christmas is one of those as well. And New Year's, that can land in the middle of the week. And it kind of messes everything up. But at least at Christmas time, you kind of take Christmas Eve, Christmas, maybe the day after. A lot of folks will take that week off. With 4th of July, it is just, it's one day. So it's like having two Mondays and 2 Fridays. Peter says, Spreaker sounds good. So thanks, Peter. Appreciate that. So really weird going to work Monday, and then it felt like Friday right before 4th of July. And then, of course, yesterday was off for the 4th. Good day. All hands, all fingers, and toes are intact. And of course, I didn't fire off any fireworks. You guys, if you're in the chat room, do you guys fire any fireworks last week or this week? So so tomorrow's Friday again. It's weird, but it'll be good. Get in, get out. We got a lot of work going on at work, so that keeping us busy. And some moving on the weekend. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. I'll need a little support from the chat room tonight. It is just me. Mike has the night off. Yeah, I didn't find out about that until just a few minutes ago. So I said, I'll just do a solo show. It's been a while since I've done a solo show, so we'll get that done tonight. Struggling a little bit on the 4th. You guys know I've gotten in the last year or two into some, for special occasions, smoking a cigar from time to time. Well, we did one Tuesday night, one Wednesday night. Voice is a little trashed. I probably shouldn't do that too often. Did a webcast today at work. We'll do a webcast tomorrow at work. And then Dave Jackson Saturday morning. So busy week. Hopefully the voice will recover. But not the greatest. Not the greatest thing in the world for your voice, those cigars. See if I'll power through. Tonight may not be super long. Just as we try and get there. Got a lot of feedback from folks this week, so we'll be spending a few minutes working through the feedback, which is cool. Got that lined up. Facebook's been good. I got a bunch of email from you. Appreciate that. I should probably check my email real quick before we get started. You should write down for the crypto updates a little nice hash payout. Let's put that in there. But just me. Next week, no show, by the way. My son gets married next Friday. My mom is in town on Thursday, and I just couldn't imagine taking the night off to podcast with my mom in town. So she'd be like, "You're doing what?" Instead of spending time with her, she would be pretty upset with me. So sorry, guys, no podcast next week. But we will be back the week after. Mark said he had a 4-day weekend, Canada Day on July 1st, then 3 days at work, then off, 20 hours of barbecue. Yeah, pretty nice. Mark, I know it's been super hot up there too. I grilled yesterday, and we started about 2. It was pretty hot. It was in the low 90s, real high humidity. Not my favorite time to grill out there. The deck was just sweltering. I need to get a big box fan, like, not one of those cheap ones. Not just Tony. I just saw your tweet. What are you coming off of there, Tony? Oh, it's got it on the big screen. Nice. Well, yeah, maybe we'll see how long we can you can listen on there. Mark says 115 with the humidity. Yeah, super hot. Not my favorite thing to do. Anyways, I need to get a big fan. Tony, thanks for the tweet. Hold on, let me retweet that. That was pretty good. Don't get that too often. We'll get that up there. When I get a big shop fan, that would allow me to kind of keep the air on the deck moving. It just gets so hot out there. And as I look at those, there's some max fans. I guess they're 126 for big fan to just put outside on the deck to kind of move the air. Here, I'll throw the link in the show notes. You guys can tell me what you think. See if we get. I'll take some fan recommendations while we're waiting. Tell me what you think of this one. It's kind of yellow, but it's got some wheels on it, which would be cool. It says it's ideal for garages, basements. By the way, it's called, if you're watching the recording on this one, it's called a Max Air High Velocity Air Movement 2-speed portable air circulator fan. Mark puts the leader in fans, bigassfans.com. Yeah, I bet they got some good fans in there. What I'd like, I'd love one of these with a little mist blower on it, kind of bring down the temp. Those would be nice. It gets so stifling hot. But how much are those fans, Mark? Yeah, Tony. Extreme Power, a 24-inch Extreme Power fan for $90. Looks like I'm going to pay anywhere from, I don't know, 65 to 125 for a big old fan. I'd use it maybe, I don't know, 3-4 times. That's the problem. But when you're grilling on the deck, man, the grill puts off a bunch of heat and deck puts off a bunch of heat. It gets pretty hot. So I have to think through it. I have to think through that fan option. All right. Let's roll through this, gentlemen. I'm not sure how long we'll go, how long my voice will hold out tonight. If I sound a little bit like Dave McCabe, don't I? Saying that, yeah, I hope you guys are still listening to Reset. Although I don't think we've seen a reset in a while. Just kind of thinking through that. I'm not sure I've seen a reset in the channel in a while. Let's look. Let's go to the podcast app. Find out if Dave has been putting anything out. I just haven't been listening. No, he must be on vacation or something. Man, I'm behind on my podcast a little bit for sure. Got to play some catch up. It's been busy summer. All right. Whoa. Mark says 750 for the fan. Yikes. Tony says 93% humidity where he's at. Yeah, Tony, yesterday was unbearable, and then a big storm came through last night. Pretty nice night. It's still kind of hot, but tonight would have been a good night for grilling. We smoked cigars on the deck last night. That was kind of fun with the kids. I'm slowly starting to find the cigars that I like. And I got to be careful because I want that to be like, I don't know, once a quarter maybe. Not interested in that becoming a real habit. Tony says to be listening to Hardcore History. Yep, that's a good one. Super good stuff. I need to listen to that. I'm a big history guy. I just know they're like 3 or 4 hours long. If you're listening live, jump in the Facebook group real fast. We're going to be talking a bunch from the Facebook group. That's really tonight is a feedback and Facebook show. I thought Mike was going to be here, and then when he said no, actually most of my stuff. Do have a little bit of a product update from Western Digital, so we'll throw that in there as well. And maybe a few questions that you guys might have. I bet it does. Okay, let's crank it out, and let's see if we'll get this done. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 362, recorded on July 5th, 2018. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studios. Here in a very sweltering, we're talking a little bit about in pre-show, Bellevue, Nebraska. Of course, storm came through last night and really kind of brought the heat down a little bit, kind of makes it tolerable to be outside. We grilled over the fourth weekend here, of course, Independence Day here in the United States. Man, it was super hot. I did like a 2 p.m. grill, which is about the worst part of the day to do a grill. Burgers, dogs, you know what you do. Some chicken for fourth. And super hot. So it's always good to have that cool down. No tech deployed on that one, just grilling. Of course, we post a show with world-class show notes, and we'll have a bunch of links. If you haven't joined us in the Facebook group yet, you might want to do that. Facebook.com/group/theaverageguy. A lot of tonight's show. This is great, though, by the way. A lot of user fee or listener feedback. Thank you for sending your emails in. I got a bunch of that this week, which is pretty cool. So we'll be covering those. And then, of course, I got some of the posts that you did in the Facebook group. Again, facebook.com/group/theaverageguy. Jump in there. A lot of great content, a lot of good things that land there. So if you're skeptical on Facebook, that's the only group you need to be a part of. But a lot of good information going on out there. So those are the links to everything we talk about will be in the show notes. Of course, you can join us live on our mobile app. I'm going to thank LastPass for their sponsorship of that app. You can get access to it. Super easy. HomeGadgetGeeks.com, and it's super easy and it's free. So don't forget, when you're in the Apple Podcast app, or now the new Google Podcast app, allegedly that's working. I think I'm in that. Emily can Emily, you can verify. I think she said I'm out there in the new Google Podcast app. You can subscribe, rate, and review if you want to do it there, although I don't think they have a rate and review yet in the Google Podcast app. You can subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live or when we post to the regular channel. And then, of course, if you're on Spreaker, you can follow us out there and you get an email whenever we go live on Spreaker. Yes, Emily, little solo show tonight. Mike forgot to let me know he's out of town. So, I don't know, 25 minutes before the show, I said, hey, all ready to go? And he was like, actually, I'm out of town. I'm like, okay, well, not a big deal. We've got some material. Actually, a lot of the material we have tonight came from you. And so we'll spend some time working through that material. I appreciate your emails. A great way to communicate with me. I love to get your emails, love to communicate that way. This week, maybe a record number. And I grabbed a few of those out of there to share as part of the show. And so most of tonight will be what we get via email, and then a few comments on some of the Facebook posts, and then whatever you guys give me in the chat room. So we'll spend a little time going solo. Maybe not the longest show in the world, but I'm going to be out next week. My oldest son is getting married, and my mom is coming to town. You can't podcast the night your mom is in town. Like, you just can't do it. She's going to be like, no, what are you doing? She's not going to understand. So no podcast last week, or this week actually, and appreciate you guys giving me the week off. All right, let's kind of dig in a little bit. When we think about the communications, you guys, the email will go into we'll bring into the email bag. Yeah, Emily says in the chat room, bring her on. No, my mom can barely hear. She would be like, what? Every time I'd say something, what? And I called her on the phone the other day. Man, it was just brutal. So she didn't have her hearing aids in, and Emily, what kind of questions? Emily says I have some questions for her. Well, you can put those in the chat room. Maybe I'll ask her while she's here. She doesn't quite get what I do here on podcasting. It's kind of funny. She's almost 90. She's awesome, but maybe not so much on the podcast stuff. She's like, what do you do there? I don't get that. But anyways, all right. Well, some emails coming in this week. Quasi sent me a note. He said, hey, Jim, sorry I missed the live show of 361, but watched a few hours later. Enjoyed the conversation on what you're comfortable fixing on things in the house. I, too, got to go to YouTube for those issues. Love to work on the computers. He says, I love to work on the computer, smartphones, tablets. Had an iPad mini where the screen broke. In combination with YouTube and Google to find the parts, it was painful but cheap, a cheap fix. Painful because you have to get through all the adhesive. That's right. You got to kind of warm those things up. Surface is not too different from that. It's hard to get into a Microsoft Surface. A lot of that is heat activated adhesion, and you got to work really hard. You got to heat them up and kind of jerry rig them until they they come apart. It is kind of messy. So yeah, the adhesion, the glue they use could be pretty painful. And then getting it back together is a whole nother issue. But he says, I recently bought an older MacBook as a backup and installed a new battery, upgraded RAM, put in an internal SSD, all thanks to YouTube. Yeah, no, for sure. You can do a lot of that stuff. And I'm always surprised at just how generous people are with their time on YouTube. It's just amazing all the work they go in to put that in. So he says his next project will be upgrading the iMac with an internal SSD. Always a good, if you got a PC and you're looking at doing an upgrade, probably besides RAM, SSD is just one of those easy ones that if you can back it up and put it in and get your OS running on it, it's great to do. He says, I just have to make sure I don't fall down the YouTube rabbit hole and watch unrelated content. Well, I'm the king of that. I watch a ton. So it's easy to do for sure. He says, thanks for all you do and keep up the great work. So crazy. Appreciate your email in here. Neil sent me a note. He said, nice show today. I too find YouTube a great source of fix-it wisdom. He says, I, for one, hate working on engines. I don't disagree with engines. And anything I have to crawl under or get upside down to work on. I always seems like I'm always trying to work on those things last minute or in the heat of the day, and I'm just dripping sweat all over myself. That's one of the things I hate for that. He says, unfortunately, our hill mower seems to demand a lot of his attention, and a mower like a helicopter is one of those it can be one of those tools that often doesn't work very well. It's always nasty and dirty, it's kind of its job. So he says, thanks for the show and your diverse view on the world. And Neil, thanks for your email. Always good to hear from you. I hear from Neil frequently, and I appreciate the feedback we get. Been getting a lot of feedback actually on the show, kind of the content of it, the variety on it. A lot of you like it, and so no plans of changing it. We'll keep going with the variety. You guys like it, and so there's no reason to kind of change it. All right. We also heard this week. I heard from Bill. Bill said, Jim, I never really write to podcasts I listen to when I have the thoughts. However, a few things have come to my mind, and I actually have some free time. First, I've really been enjoying the new format. So, Bill, appreciate that. It's more along the lines of what I always hoped the show would be. Well, it's good to hear that we're going in that direction. I hope that you will continue to get good ideas from the audience and carry it forward. Yeah, me too. And of course, we can't do it if you guys aren't communicating with us. So I appreciate that. He continues, the main reason I wanted to write, it was in response to your discussion at the end of last week's show. You and Mike were discussing engaging young folks in coding/technology. The discussion turned to transportation. You floated the idea of Uber. I wanted to let you know about a Uber feature called Uber Events. And I never heard of this before. He goes on to say, I have never seen an advertisement for it. However, I've used it a few times for work events. Where I want to ensure my staff has safe transportation. It allows you to set up a window of time, the credit available with a limit on the ride cost. You can enter a list of people and it will send out unique codes, or you can have it generate one code. I also let you set up a limit for the entire event. I think this is an outstanding service. I wish more people knew about it. And then he sent me the link, uber.com/events. Bill says, thanks for the great show. Keep up the great work. Bill, thanks for that. So Uber Events, I need to look into this. The discussion was because we work with high school students in the near north side, and they don't have any transportation here in Omaha to really get where they need to be. We were talking about using the bus. There was a bunch of students who take the bus on a regular basis to do this summer program. I couldn't believe it. I was really shocked because I didn't think the bus would work. But I'd rather have Uber. Especially because the rides wouldn't be that expensive, and maybe an option to get students here a little bit cheaper than a $30 bus pass. I'll have to look into that per person. I think that's what our bus passes are. Maybe I can get some deals on those, or just find a way. It would literally cost them maybe $2 a month to make it into Gallup a couple times. Maybe not that. Maybe a little bit more than that. So, yeah. So Uber events. Thanks for bringing that up, Bill. I'm actually going to look into that. We are going to start our interns. So the next wave of high school interns will start here at the end of September. That'll be here before you know it. It'll be fall. We'll be complaining about the cold weather coming, and we'll give it a shot. See how it goes. Uber.com/events. I don't know. What do you think? This sounds like a great service just for anybody. If you wanted to get people from one place to another, kind of control the cost, see how it goes. We'll give it a try. I had mentioned in the beginning of the show that Emily wanted to ask some questions from my mom. And so here Emily says, questions for Jim's mom. Was Jim always a gadget geek? Yeah, Emily, I had a computer even back in the 80s, TRS-80. No, that's not what I had. I had a Timex Sinclair 1000. That's what I had. So yeah, I love the gadgets. I never had enough money for them. That was the problem. So, and I wonder, Emily also asked, what was his favorite gadgety toy as a kid? I don't know. That's a good question. Probably that computer. I loved playing computer games when I was there, which is interesting because I don't anymore. You know, I don't play very many games. Watch a lot of YouTube videos though. Did he take things apart in the house just to see how they'd work? So I got this bike brand new for my parents, and I don't know, I maybe had it 3 months, and I got this wild hair to just take it all apart, and then I couldn't get it back together. And I was such in a panic. I felt so bad that I had pulled this thing all the way apart. I was super interested in how things worked. We just pulled it apart, brand new bike, and I just took the whole thing apart because I wanted to see how it worked. That bike was purple, by the way. That bike would become the source of a nickname. So the bike was purple. You guys remember the character from McDonald's, the purple thing, whatever he is, the purple blob that they call Grimace, right? So my neighborhood friends started calling me Grimace, and that got shortened to Grim when I was in high school. So I got called Grim, which is Grim, Jim, kind of works out, right? So Mark says his first, or what he messed around with, a VIC-20, Commodore 64, Atari. Yeah, all my friends had those. I just didn't have the money for those. It was too, we just, in those, I should have, I was working. I don't know. I didn't prioritize my gadget purchasing. Right. Should have done more. Lopta says games on the TS-1000 were pretty limited. Yeah, they were. They were not, I think that was a TZ? No, a Z81, I think is what that was called in the UK. Something like that. That Timex Sinclair 1000. So it was pretty revolutionary when it came out. There was not a lot in it though. So Emily, great questions. I'll ask my mom that. See if she has any recollection to ZX. Yeah. See if she has any recollections of those questions. Thanks for sending them in. Lop just says that Timex Sinclair 1000. It's a ZX81. And then Mark Robson says first MIDI music I ever heard took 5 minutes to load a song, but wow, yeah, now some good times. All right, hey, we want to thank you for your emails that you send in. You can send them to jim@theaverageguy.tv. A great way to get those into me, and I appreciate the feedback that you give. But Bill, that Uber feedback may be the best I've got so far, so I appreciate it. A couple things from the Facebook group. Well, one was Weaker found this actually. He actually found a post out there. Let me see if I can find it on my screen. Now I'm getting a bunch of people trying to communicate with me on Facebook. So it's a YouTube video. It says home security reaches new heights with drones. So someone stole my idea, although I didn't really think it was just my idea. But remember we've been talking about the ability when home sensors sense something's going on, it launches a drone, and the drone goes up and starts taking footage and alerting you that something's going on. These sensors look like little lights. In the link will be in the show notes if you want to go out there and take a peek at it. But these the sensors around the neighborhood or around your yard look like little lights, and they're supposed to tell the difference between you and the dog and an intruder. I don't know how that works. Maybe AI and machine learning. If you really want to know what AI and machine learning is, we did Cyber Frontiers, the newest episode of Cyber Frontiers, which, by the way, will we do one next week? Let me think. This is the 4th. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to look it up again. I think so. Next Monday, if you watch Twitter, and you'll see if we're going to do Cyber Frontiers. But shoots the drone up in the air. Now there's some concerns, like the neighbors are like, hey, when this thing in the air, is it shooting, pictures of everything? And so there was a little concern around that, but no, apparently not. That's allegedly this drone, you do some things where you set it up where it just stays trained on your house. But it's that exact same thing that I've been talking about. Like, the drone sits in a box, and when it senses something, the lid comes open and the drone shoots out of it and starts filming what's going on around there. I think that's pretty cool. So, Mike, thanks for sharing that with us. It's a pretty cool little drone and a pretty good little idea. This Bay Area company's doing this. Let me see if I can get some information. The information's in the email. Is in the YouTube video. So head out to theaverageguy.tv, find in the show notes. This is HGG362, and you can see where someone stole my idea and put it up. I didn't think it was going to be that long before it got done. So that link will be in the show notes if you want to go watch that video. Chris had also dropped one in the Facebook group. He says, has anyone seen this product? It seems pretty neat, but not quite there yet when it comes to integrating with digital assistants. So it's a company called DAKBoard, DAKBOARD. If you go to DAKBoard, DAKBOARD.com, you can kind of see they have this $99 device, plugs into a big screen. You can buy the TV from them if you want, but in most cases, the device itself is $100, and you plug it in and it creates a big old basically tablet for you, right? So you've got weather and time. It can integrate with your schedule. It'll show, it's got some really beautiful pictures on it that'll show kind of an update, give you some updated news and information on it. And first I had seen, it'll run on a laptop, it'll run on a tablet. You can use a Raspberry Pi. You can use you can buy their CPU. And I think what they make their money on, they sell a little bit of hardware, but is in the services of it. So you can get a free account. That includes, so you can try this if you want. If you got the equipment. In fact, maybe I should try it on this PC that's right here. This one that's right over my right shoulder. So if you're listening to the audio, you don't see it, but I always have a PC on right there. Actually, it's a touchscreen. Maybe I'll do that after the show. That'd have been a good idea. For free, I can set up one screen, get a free account from them, and there's a bunch of things that I can do with it, make it available there with some of their services. They have a premium $5 a month, professional $50 a month, and an enterprise plan that lets you put it on up to 100 screens. If you wanted to coordinate those all around your building or get that set up in a certain way. So Chris is kind of wondering, is this ready for prime time? Is it is this thing ready? So Chris, I didn't even think about it till right now. Like I've got that's sitting on right now. That's a Kangaroo. One of those Kangaroo PCs runs this touchscreen right here. I really just use it as a display behind me, but that'd be a perfect kind of test case for this DAC board. So maybe I'll set that up right after the show. DAKBOARD. Give it a look. Apparently, though, it's still not quite digital assistant friendly. So maybe some work to do to get that done. I think this is the space that Amazon is trying to be in, right? They've got some of these assistants with a screen. And so I think they're trying to do it as well. Chris, I'd never seen this before, this DAC board. So I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but you can give it a look. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the Facebook group. You can just add it on to Chris's post that is there. Is that something, I've always wanted some kind of digital interface that would actually work. And I've been trying a few things. I've just never really got it to work. It reminds me of kind of the NVIDIA Shield in some ways, right? That's running a version of Android. The update, I just got the update on the NVIDIA Shield, and you can, just talk into the remote, or it's got the digital, it's got the, OK Google digital assistant in it. And you can use that for search what's on the, on the Shield, some of those kinds of things. So it kind of reminds me of that interface has Chromecast built into it, the NVIDIA Shield. So you could, it's more of a media device than it is an assistant. So this is maybe where those are a little bit different. Justin Simmons in Facebook says, I don't have the product as in the physical. I do have a subscription to their software though. And I'd have to concur with the analysis. It's not quite ready yet. There are a few things that need to be worked on or otherwise reworked. He says, what I'm thinking, of here, specifically the calendar usage. The views for those who have multiple calendars does not work so well. If you have, or if you are wanting to show calendars for multiple people, a column view would work much better than what they have now. It's always hard to get that calendar view. It's especially hard to get these things working for multiple people. That's a real common problem across the board. He also says there needs a bit of functionality, family reminder function. That's not simply to state what's happening that day. He says the final thing is it really needs to be on a touch screen and touch responsive. So that way, when something has to be done, say put out the bins, you can simply walk up to the touch item on the list, mark it as done. I did not know what they're working on, but recently added one of the other major things I wanted, multiple screens per account. So now in theory, I could customize one for each person of the bedroom, a generic in the bathroom, or something not played to much, just poked and prodded a little. So Justin gave that a try. And Ernesto said, I set up a free account and have been playing with it on the website. Lets you view the dashboard there. I have to say it's pretty nice. I was able to add a few calendars under the free and set up my Flickr for the photos. I can easily just see this thing hanging on home for my wall for everyone to see. I have not been a big calendar guy this way. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my personality or what, but I have just not been as inclined to have digital calendars. We've tried it. We put the kangaroo in the kitchen. I tried family calendars. I tried displaying them there. I don't know. Just didn't work real well for me. So, maybe for you, maybe that works. I don't know. Maybe my life's just not busy enough that I need a calendar like that, kind of out in the open. So, Chris, thanks for throwing that in there, Dakport. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. Maybe, like I said, maybe I'll give it a try. Kind of right here. John Biggs had posted a recipe for some bacon wrapped jalapeno stuff that's delicious. We won't go into that, but it gave me an idea. Do I need to start a separate like Home Grilling Geeks? Is that what needs to be happening on this thing? It'd be HGG, So does it? Do we need Home Grilling Geeks? I don't know. Somebody go out there and look on Hover or wherever and see if it's available. I don't know. It would be interesting to see one, if it is available. If Mike was here, I'd ask him a question, then I'd go find it. But we've been talking so much about food. I really actually won't talk that much more about it here tonight, but we've been talking so much about food. It seems that a lot of geeks like food. By the way, the grilling, Emily says, does that mean another night live? And if so, then yes. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could do another live night, Emily. But it seems to be that geeks and food go pretty well together. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from you. And actually the most engagement. Okay. Well, and Emily says it's available. I've gotten the most engagement from food, the food shows, which is crazy. We have the podcast listed over at Mixcloud or one of those services. And the last barbecue show with very, very little, almost none, no advertising on that platform, did 300 or 400. And I typically get 10. So, boy, the grilling sure seems to be popular. Home Grilling Geeks. Maybe after the show, I'll go buy it and at least have it. I would go homegrillingeeks.com for that one, not TV. I did the averageguy.tv because I couldn't get the averageguy.com. That would have been my initial when TV was available, and Leo Laporte had done twit.tv. I thought, well, let's jump on that bandwagon. Maybe that's the way it'll go. It never didn't go that way. Most TV, it just didn't. I thought for podcasting that'd be a trend, and it wasn't a trend at all. So no luck on that one. Mark also put in the Facebook group. He got himself a new microphone. So a Fifine K669 USB wired microphone, condenser version of it, and spent $30 on it. So Mark will be on here a later bit. What is that? A little bit later in the fall, and give us an opportunity to see how that thing sounds on the podcast. USB. Here, I'll throw the link to it in the chat room too. Here, if you're listening live. And let Mark, we'll see how well it works for $30. Not a bad deal. And GearBest, it's over at GearBest and gearbest.com. No affiliate link over there, but Emily says homegrilling.geeks.sucks is available for $329. So there's that. Yeah, no, I probably won't buy that. Mark also says he picked up the arm for it too. So good, Mark. Well, it's a condenser mic, so you want to get it right up on it. Be close to it because it'll also pick up a lot of noise around you. So we'll have to kind of watch for that when you come on the show. We will do a grilling show here in the fall. We'll get Mike and Mark back on. We'll get Mike Uyghur, Mike Howard, Mark Robson back on the show, and we'll talk about our grill falling. Mark, I told Sarah, I've got this old grill that I've had since like '94, and for the first time, I've loved grilling on that thing, and I don't know why, but for the first time, I've been thinking about a bigger grill. So maybe it's you. That's maybe looking at all those Traegers has convinced me it's time to get maybe it's time to get a bigger, more tech savvy. I feel like I'm driving a Ford Pinto, just to be honest with you, with the little Sunbeam. But man, I cook the crap out of that thing. So it'll be I don't know. Maybe not this. Maybe this year. Sarah actually gave me permission to buy a new one. She was just like, just go buy a new one. We're having a wedding and family coming in, so maybe now is not the time. But maybe I'll look in the fall for some deals as the local guys are getting rid of them. And maybe so. One last thing, if you're into the storage, Western Digital has updated their My Book Duo. If you haven't been following those, I found that pretty amazing. Let me throw this link that will be in the show notes for you. Let me throw that in the chat room. Those guys, when we think about backup, not everybody wants to build a big old home server. I'm always surprised Western Digital is still in this space. Like, apparently there must be enough there. Enough people are buying these things. This is a 2 drive. And I shouldn't say little. 2 drive book does a little RAID on them, and it kind of does it all for you. You don't even have to think about it. It supports most of the RAID modes that are out there. It's got a USB-C port with all the cables included, so it plugs into just about anything. Supports USB 3.1, Gen 1, 3.0, 2.0. It's got 2 USB 3 Type A hubs available for it. If you want to go on, it's pretty good. It starts with a RAID 0. You can put a RAID 1 on it. It cracked me up though. The 20 terabyte version of it is $800. So, you think, well, okay, 20 terabytes. It's still pretty good. Those 210 drives in there. It comes out of the box RAID 0. And other Jim says, buy it now. It'll never be patched. I think that's been kind of the story of Western Digital. I'm just not sure they're getting back to their devices. Good looking device and pretty good size and lots of functionality on it. That 20 terabyte is $800, but the 4 terabyte starts at $259. I've been buying the 8 terabyte drives for $150. So throw 2 of those together, and you kind of start thinking, 4 terabytes. Although you get a backbone on this thing, something that's got some hardware on it. So it would be a cheap NAS without any of the NAS stuff. I don't know. You could QNAP a 2-drive QNAP. Probably comes at this. Of course, the drives and the storage is included. So if you need backup and you don't want to mess with it, maybe not too bad of an option. I don't know. We talk a little bit about home server, home storage stuff. I have never messed with one of these desktop RAID configurations from Western Digital. Wouldn't mind having it. I guess I'd give it a try. But I don't know. What do you think? What are you using? Actually, this would be a good email question this week. What are you using? It'll take us 2 weeks to get back to you, but what are you using for home storage? How much do you got? How full is it? Like, how big is it? How full is it? And then what is it? How many drives? What are you putting together? This week, I was hanging out with Ken online. I've been spending a lot of time with Ken working on Burst. He actually got me thinking about, I have this HP N40L that, but it's old. I really wasn't doing anything with it. And he was like, well, maybe we could throw some burst drives, throw some additional hard drives in it and do some burst mining on it. He actually taught me how to do burst with 2 miners, and I've set up 2 more. So I have 4 at this point, but, so we got the N40 running on that. I threw some drives in. It was kind of fun to kind of work with those drives. Actually, I pulled 3 terabyte drives out of the Drobo and replaced them with smaller drives. That worked for me, and redeployed those 3 terabyte drives into some other machines so I could take use of the 9 terabytes there. But what are you doing? What do you have? Send it to me in an email so I can get in the show notes. Jim@theaverageguy.tv. What do you have? What's your backbone? How many drives? How big are they? And how full is it? Like, maybe give me some idea of what you're using it for. Love to hear about that when we think about home backup and home storage. It's been a while since we've done that. When I come back from the break, we'll spend a little time talking about storage and backup. Send that to me, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. All right. That's all I got. Quick show tonight, maybe 35 minutes or so. Appreciate you guys coming into the chat room. Without Mike, short stuff. I don't know. Been a little interesting. I'm probably super boring without Mike. Who knows? My voice isn't doing real well. So, and we got my son, Tim. We talked about this before. He's a Marine. He's in California. He's here. So it's probably good I cut this off a little bit early tonight and go hang out with him. I'll do a short little bit of crypto here at the very end to give an update. Ken, like I mentioned, Ken's been doing a ton of work with me, and I want to give him some props. And so stay around for a little bit of, we'll spend the next 15 minutes talking crypto. That I'll throw into a little post show, make that available as well. Don't forget, if you want to listen to that, I've got a bunch of them are out on our Patreon link. So if you go to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, that'll get you there. There's a Patreon link right there on the page. They're all available for free. I shouldn't say all of them. Some of the most recent ones are available for free. So you can go out and listen to them. Big thanks this week. One of our listeners, let me quick pull up his name while I got the time. Bill, you know who you are. Appreciate it. Actually, Bill sent in the feedback from earlier today. Bill, Andy, Amar, Tim, you guys all have jumped on. John, you guys have all jumped on recently to Patreon. So appreciate you guys doing that. Theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. Get you on there as well. I mentioned the email. Send me an email, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Track me down on Twitter @JCollison. Don't forget theaverageguy.tv, both web and media hosting, hosted by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust, and super rock solid. Plans start as little as $10 a month. Maple Grove everybody should be using this. MapleGrovePartners.com. And then don't forget our app, Android, iPhone, available on both, totally free. In fact, I'll reach out to LastPass to see if they want to sponsor for another year. You never know. I always keep thinking they won't, but you never know. Maybe they'll come back for one more year. We thank LastPass for their sponsorship of that app as well. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And we will, 2 weeks, taking the week off next week, back in 2 weeks with Uyghur. We'll have some more for you. In the meantime, load us up in the Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups/theaverage.groups/theaverage guy. There we go. And then, or send me an email, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Load us up. We'll have a whole show, just your feedback, your ideas, your questions. Bill, again, thanks for that Uber. That's going to be a big deal, I think. That may answer a ton of questions for me. So that kind of stuff is super helpful. By the way, I got a note from somebody this week. They're going to try out HelloFresh. We just got our HelloFresh order on Tuesday. Put it in the fridge. Cooked one tonight. Breaded chicken. It was super awesome. My kids made it, which is the awesome part about HelloFresh. My daughter, 19, my son, 21, they made dinner tonight. I said, hey, guys. Oh, I didn't tell you guys early on. I had this huge networking problem about midnight last night. Whole network went down again. I told you guys I got a new switch, big new switch. Couldn't figure out. In fact, I still don't really know what's wrong. I think I had a big IP conflict. I had 20 new devices in the house this weekend as everybody came over with 2 or 3 devices, right? Phones, tablets, new computers. We had all kinds of gadgets here yesterday. And about 12:30 went down. I was asleep. Ken sent me a note. Hey, you're offline. I didn't get it until the morning. So So this morning about 7, I'm trying to troubleshoot. I could not get that thing working. I just couldn't. I could not get the network up. It must be an IP conflict somewhere. I've gone back in. So a couple things. So I let it go all day, which is kind of a bummer, especially with burst mining. I lost 8 hours of burst mining, but that's all right. A couple things I did. I got home. I labeled. Yeah, Loftus says, have you ever considered setting fire to your Ethernet switch? No, this is a brand new one. I don't think it's actually, I don't think it was the old switches either. I think it was me. I don't know. I've got a bunch of equipment out in the living room on another switch out there. And I think I was getting some IP conflicts. But so a couple things learned in that. One, I labeled everything. What I didn't, I had cables, I got wires come in. I have no idea what they go to. So I spent a bunch of time labeling the connections. I shouldn't say bunch, probably half an hour. Got that done. 2, I set a manual IP for everything. And I used to do that. And I know some of you do that as well. You got a spreadsheet, right? And in it is, 1 to 255. And you've got all your devices labeled and you've set them all manual so that they don't move around, right? And conflict. So there's that, right? So I spent a bunch of time getting everything in a spreadsheet so I know where everything kind of is at. And then I put them all, I create static addresses for them. So we'll see if that works. I'm up and running. I got good bandwidth tonight. Everything seems to be up and running. I really do think it is my issue here. I've been sloppy about my networking. I've just been super sloppy. Not just kind of plugging stuff in. Woo, unplugging, plugging. Even when I was troubleshooting this thing this morning, of course, it never happens at a convenient time. My wife she was watching a webcast today here at the house, and she's like, am I going to be able to watch that? Well, what was interesting is I know it wasn't the Bitdefender box because Wi-Fi still worked. So it had to be my networking down here. So unplugged to get to it. I just unplugged everything. And as I was rewiring one at a time, label, plug it back in, check it, lock it in, call it good. Well, so far so good. No issues on that. That's really the first time it's dropped me hard like that, where I couldn't get anything working. I got home, the kids had jumped on the Wi-Fi with their laptop, put the TV on the laptop, and we're watching movies that way. So they got it done. So I'm hoping at this point, what I really liked, actually, when I got that new TP link, it made the Zycells a little, if I'm pronouncing that right, it made those, I can move those out to the fringe now, get a few more ports out on the edge. So that actually worked out really pretty well for me. So that's pretty cool. Tony says in the chat room, see, I've upgraded about 5 terabytes uploaded since I got fiber recently. Never could have done that with Spectrum. Yeah, moving. Tony, I took a month of unlimited and I moved almost 3.5 terabytes of backup data up into the cloud. I couldn't believe I used that much data. So, yeah. So it was kind of I learned some stuff. Hopefully I got my network figured out at this point. Kind of weird that it like worked all day. It's been working great since I put the new switch in. Been working great. I don't think it's a switch. 12:30. Everybody's in bed. Like we haven't been on like everybody went to bed. I went to bed at 11. So nobody's even on. Just down it went. I could not get it back up, but took it apart this afternoon, got it figured out. So pretty good. Okay. Well, I was going to tell you that in the beginning of the show, and I totally forgot. We are live 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at the AverageGuy.tv live. Spent a few minutes doing crypto. Thanks for coming out tonight, guys. Sorry about not having Mike with me. A little solo show. Hope that's okay. Get you updated on some stuff. I just didn't want you to go 2 weeks without a show. Thanks for coming out. If you're joining us live, stay around for a little post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Super hard to do alone. Hey, welcome. If you're listening to this part, you've caught us on Patreon. Thanks for coming over. No pressure, but if you do want to join us in supporting Home Gadget Geeks and all the things that we do, helps me upgrade equipment and some of those kinds of things. Drop a little $1 or whatever. I guess $1 is the cheapest you can go. And thanks. Appreciate that. Some of you have done that recently, and I appreciate you guys doing that here on Patreon. If you're listening live, thanks for staying around. Couple updates. One, I mentioned this in the show. Ken has been, he's here. He's actually driving home right now. And Ken has been a super big help this week. So Ken, thank you. If you're listening to this part, thanks he has literally put in, I don't know, we probably worked 10 or 12 hours doing some burst doing some burst upgrades. First, I don't know why. Last Friday, I was sitting here, and I don't know how he baited me. He got me thinking about, like, did I have more storage space? Like I have 100, and I think I have 112 terabytes out there on the burst network. And he was like, not like he would say, "Do you got any more?" But he got me kind of thinking about it. And I started thinking, I've got this N40L that's sitting here. It's really not doing anything. It's got some drives in it. It's probably got 3 or 4 terabytes worth of drives in it. I could probably plot that. And I started looking around. The Drobo had, I don't know. I had 3, 6, 9, 7, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 total terabytes. It was serving about 7 because of the redundancy on it. And then, but I was only using like 2. So I was like, well, maybe I can pull those 3 terabyte drives from that, move them around, get some things done. Well, push comes to shove. I found 14 more terabytes, which is crazy. Just crazy to think I had 14 available terabytes. This wasn't buying anything, right? This was just available on the network that I just needed to reconfigure. Quick jumped in with Turbo Plotter. I got them plotted over the weekend, which was pretty cool. By the end of the weekend, we had them out and deployed and working. I actually got about 3 terabytes up on the N40L. I have an IC dock fat cage. If you guys know what that is, that's a 3 drive bay that you can load right into a 3 drive area on in a box, and it's planed, so it's got a SATA connection for each of the drives. So I was able to put that. I had some smaller drives in that, which I pulled out and swapped some things around. So 369 in that box. It's actually the box I'm broadcasting on right now as I look over here. It's available on that site. So again, I found 14 extra terabytes, and we got those up and running. Ended up, Friday when we started, I had 1 miner on there. And using Crete Miner, you can pretty simply, to be honest, set up other PCs to be miners and just point them to that one. And so you can have these burst boxes running. If you're, Ken is really, some of the pools have a 20-second limit. So they stop accepting anything after 20 seconds. So if your plots are taken, in my case, they were taking 15, 60 seconds. We've been trying to get the time down. I'm in a current pool that allows it up to 40 seconds. So the goal all week or all weekend was to get all the plots running and done in less than 40 seconds. I don't have the fastest of equipment, so less drives are better. And so spreading that around a little bit until your network goes down. But I spread those around a little bit. Got 4 PCs mining and sending them all through one. So 3 go through one, through a main miner. Learned a little bit about USB in the setup. Ended up taking the hubs. For those of you who've been listening on this burst thing that I've been doing, I had 7 USB devices on a single 10-port hub. It was just slow. I don't know how to explain that any other way. When I ended up taking them off, I had bought 3 USB 3 PCI cards, 1 with 4, 2 with 2, so 8 total. And when I just plugged the drives in direct, I have 8 drives in there, way faster. The hubs just were, I thought USB, it'll work. It should be fine. No, not really. No. So I saw right under the ports. I've actually got another 4-port coming that I'm going to put in to see if I can get 4, 8, 10 in the box. I'm at 28 seconds now, or 27 seconds. So I think that'll work out pretty well for me. Lopta, that IC dock cage, Lopta in the chat room is asking me about that IC dock. Let me look it up real quick. It's called an IC dock fat cage. And in my case, it's the MB, because IC dock does not have easy names. Although fat cage worked out pretty well. It's the MB153SPB. It's 3 and 2 SATA internal backplane RAID cage module. So you get 3 drives in a 2-bay slot. That's what it does. 3 into 2, which is pretty cool. They make a 5-bay version as well that you can buy, IC dock. We spent a ton of time. Those are 5 and 3, which is pretty cool. Home Server Show, we spent a ton of time talking about that. You can actually get that fat cage. The 5 and 3 you can get for $92. And the 3-bay, they're super cool. The 3-bay right now is $78. Mark says he thinks if you buy the software, the turbo plotter software, you can do multiple drives at once. Yeah. I've just been using the free one at a time. That worked out fine for me. I'm not sure I had the bandwidth, although I have two video cards in that box, Mark. I probably could have used one each to plot. 3 terabyte drive, maybe 6 hours. So I was willing to just run one at a time. That worked out pretty well for me. So Loftus says I shouldn't build a separate PC just for Burstcoin, but he's awfully tempted. So yeah, yes, you should, Lofta. It's tons of fun. You know, they're worth like 1.5 cents a coin right now. It's just a ton of fun. I get done with it. Ken drives me to just be better all the time. I get frustrated with him sometimes. I'm like, oh, slow down as he's helping me out. But he has really thought through this. Ken's probably in our community, he knows more about Burst than anybody, probably all of us put together. So, you know, I kept bringing up boxes online. So I've got a Burst miner. That's the one that's got 8 of these. So it's got 3 internal drives and then 8 terabyte drives on it. And I've got the box that's doing the audio right now, my Core i3. It's got 3 internal drives, the 3 terabyte drives. And then it has 4 8 terabyte drives hooked into it. Then I've got an AMD box, an old AMD box. That's the one I got from Schoonover. That's kind of running storage stuff, but storage isn't really doing much right now. So I put 2 8 terabyte drives on that one. And then the HP box, which just has internal drives. It's got 1 3 terabyte, and then it's got a bunch of small little drives. I think some 1 and 2 terabyte drives. And so it would be, you know, I've got them all spread out. So Lopta asks, I take it the discs should be unmounted while they're being plotted. You actually lose use of all the discs, Lopta, when you plot them. So it just depends on how you're going to plot them. No, they plot like a normal drive. Just put it in the machine, and it'll be recognized. And then you can run a plotter either out of the Q bundle, or you can use the turbo plot, which is a lot faster. It'll use GPU if you have one. It'll use CPU if you don't. It'll take a while, depending on how that you have it set up, but it's a ton of fun. I like geeking around on it. And they're getting, you know, the thing about Burst is every, I don't know, 30 days or so, the Burst amount that the pool wins goes down. It's 9 something before, it's 8 something now. So the longer you wait, the less you make on Burst. Eventually, all the coins will be mined sometime in the next 2 years, and then you'll mine for fees at that point. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know if I'll make it. So it's an update on Burst. Ken, thanks for all your help. If you hear this, I appreciate it. He went above and beyond. He and I have been up all hours of the night. Monday night, I had a podcast at work, which I started at midnight. Is that right? No, I started at 11. I got done at midnight, came home about 12:30, and he and I worked from 12:30 to 2 in the morning. I had to be up early the next morning to go to work. So it felt like the old days, the old home server days, when we'd stay up all hours of the night, getting things done. But that's what's fun about it. Like, it's one of those things, you're never going to make a ton of money. You might. I don't think you are, but it's a ton of fun. So just a reminder, if you're GPU mining with us using NiceHash, Dwayne's been on a couple times talking about NiceHash, and of course they got hacked. $40 million worth of Bitcoin lost. That was from real people like me. A couple $100 maybe at the time. It's probably worth $100 now. Prices have dipped, although they're coming back a little bit. We saw Bitcoin this last week dip down into the 5,000s, 5 and some change. For anybody who purchased at 5 and some change, they've made a nice little profit because at least last check here, let's pop it back up, 66. So from 55 to 66, nice little return if you were in the market. But NiceHash has been paying out 10 or 5 or 10% each month. I think they're at 55% now. So if you haven't looked at it in a while and you had some money in there, check it. Go to your NiceHash account. It's there. I'm just going to kind of let it ride till they're done paying out. I've been moving that over to Coinbase just to kind of keep track of it. Again, not going to retire on it, but a ton of fun to kind of track. NiceHash has actually had pretty good payments over the last couple weeks. We're in that dip when it went down to 5,000. I had to shut the miners off. It was just awful. My 1060s cost me about 25 to 30 cents a day to run if I'm running them. I was making maybe 80. No, that's each. So let's say 70 cents for $2.40 for all four. And at some point I was making $1.60 or $1.80. And you're like, okay, this is stupid. So just shut those miners off and call it good. But I've been monitoring it. In fact, the same machine that's running the burst stuff now has the NiceHash miner on it. I started at night just to kind of see where the market is. The market's up, I'll let it run for a little while until the prices are bad or it just keeps going. If they're good, if they're good, I just let them run. If they're bad, I just shut them off. I have some options there. So it's been, again, kind of fun to be able to just do that on the fly. So who knows? That market's a little stale, which is usually when things start to take off. So you never know. GPU prices have not come all the way back, but they have come back some. It's not as terrible as it used to be, but it's still not great. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Storage, on the other hand, man, this is why I love Burst, because storage has been it's been pretty inexpensive to get in. And I went way overboard on these, I bought 14 8 terabyte drives. 3 of them are not mine. Just to be clear, 3 are not mine. But I bought 11. And I was looking at hard drive prices the other day. Those I could probably sell them for $120, maybe 125. Paid $150 for them. I should probably, as Burst is on its way down, I should probably think about getting rid of them and either upgrading to 10 or 12. Maybe I'll wait for the prices on those to fall in line. But hard drive prices haven't moved all that much. So, all right. So that's a little crypto update for you. Pretty condensed. Mike has been doing some stuff. Mark has been replotting on Burst. If you've been doing Burst with us, I'd love to hear from you on it. Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Just where you at? How much you have? What are you seeing? Today was a real bummer for me because my network went down 12:30 last night. I mentioned it on the show. And so my miner was down most of the day, which is just a real bummer. I didn't get it up and running again until, I don't know, an hour before the show. So I've got some catch up to do on it. Those kinds of things, you can never make up that time. It's just gone. So I got a little work to do on and catching up to the network. I'm one of the bigger miners on that network. So when I'm there, it works out pretty well. But I was really bummed that I missed a whole day. Well, yeah, not quite a whole day, but pretty close. So Loptis says, Jim, was the network down or just the connection to the network? No, the network was down. Yeah, my connection to the internet was just fine. The Wi-Fi was working through my Bitdefender wireless router was working just fine. In fact, that's how the kids connected. They connected via Wi-Fi. None of the wired devices. So everything going through my switch was down, which means and I think I alluded to this the last time. I had these 2 8-port switches that I was using. And I had a network cable plugged into itself, which is never good. That's a little sloppy networking. And then I don't know what today's issue was. I'm going to say it was I had an IP conflict or something. I don't know, but rebooted everything and got everything on a static IP address, and we're up and running. So, yeah. Loptis says loops are bad. Yeah, they are. They are bad indeed. So they will take you down. They took me down, anyways. So I think I've been up now. I got it working about 6 and no problems tonight. The speeds seem pretty good and full HD on here. Nobody told me it was choppy. Opta said I dropped once. That could have been me, could have been him. So And Quasi asks, he said, I think last show you mentioned your dryer and ordered a part. Did it arrive and did it work? Okay, it's good update. So it arrived early, which was amazing. So this is an eBay seller. Not surprising. Most eBay sellers are pretty good. It was due to come in on the 3rd. It actually came in on Saturday the 30th. And I was super skeptical. I took it out of the box, took it over to the dryer, unplugged because it was basically a Arduino sized board that was in there. Took it over to the dryer, unplugged the one, plugged the other in, didn't even mount it, just unplugged and plugged it in and plugged it in and hit the power. It came on and the heat worked. I couldn't believe it. To be honest, then I put the whole thing back together. Looks great now. Rebalanced it and got it all level, everything all set up. Sarah came down. She said, "Is it really working?" I'm like, "Yeah." I honestly didn't think I could do this. I just, for whatever reason, I've been having that kind of luck. It was like, no, this is too easy. So, yes, and yes. Cozy says cool, and he says, I bet the wife was happy. I think I was more happy because I didn't think it was. I honestly thought it would be a motor. You know, I was ready to shell out another $1,000 or whatever these things cost. They're ridiculous, whatever they are. So, Quasi, thanks for asking. That was a in response. I should have mentioned that on the live show. In response to that question of what could you fix, right? What kind of things are you comfortable fixing? So, still not sure I want to go after a dryer. I mean, I think I got lucky on that one, but it wasn't. My son, speaking of things you could fix, my son came over yesterday during the 4th. We had all that time, and he got a new Liam Lee case, which, man, I haven't said Liam Lee, and we used to talk about that on Home Server Show all the time. He got a new white Liam Lee, almost completely glass, and he'd had an old shuttle, I think, or something. I can't remember the name of the box he had. It was a hand-me-down from a hand-me-down, and it wasn't cooling properly. He didn't have the right fans in there. It wasn't very good setup. Again, a hand-me-down of a hand-me-down. So we took it. He brought it in pretty dusty, and he has really long hair. So he found some dust bunnies, just his hair, in there. So we took it in the backyard, and I got the leaf blower. Opened that thing up, turned on the leaf blower. I don't know why that's so satisfying to watch all that dust just blow out of there, right? He had most of the things removed by that point, but we blew that out. We got the air compressor, blew out his fans, got some things cleaned up. So it was kind of fun to have him over to work on that. He got it set up yesterday. He needed something yet for today, so he left it at the house and came back in today, picked it up. It's gone. So it's kind of fun to do. We haven't done a PC build in a while, so it's kind of fun to have a PC build in the house. He's got the board it's super inefficient. The one that he got an old board, super inefficient, but it's got 8 SATA ports on it. I was thinking, wonder if that thing could be a burst server. I'm not sure the power on it. I think it's got a Xeon processor on the thing, but I'm not sure the power draw on it makes it worth it. This Core i7 is probably too big of a power draw. But I'll have to go back and check and see if it's still there. So thanks for hanging around, guys. Any other final questions? Some good questions out there. Quasi, thanks for your note as well. I appreciate that. He was the very first one of the evening. Looks like Lopta's building one. He's building something. What are you building here, Lopta? Let's take a look on a little Pinterest. Oh. Parts donated by his uncle. Good. Yeah. Good stuff. What a little 120 gig SanDisk drive. Core i5. Oh, that'll be a nice little box. Little Silverstone case. I wouldn't use Ubuntu, but that's just me. That's okay. You guys know my story with Linux. I'm on it for 2 weeks and then I'm off of it. I'm over it, is what I say. I try it out and then I'm done. So, family's in town, guys, and next week no show. Thanks for coming out. We'll do this again next week. Sorry, I can't stay around a little bit longer, but the voice is nearly gone, and I got a podcast tomorrow yet. So, Thanks for coming out. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good night. Take care.